And we're back. So it's been a long time. Taco and I have missed you guys. We've also skipped like so many cards from like the mini set from Dark Moon Fair and the actual set for wait, no, actually
Yeah, we skipped all of
we s-
Forge and the Barons.
we skipped like all of Forge and the Barons, and now we've even skipped the Forge and the Barons mini set. So
And
it's been a long time, but I'm excited. And I skipped all those because I was very afraid of editing. But I'm willing to stomach editing once more. So we're back with United in Stormwind reviews, which is the new set that is coming out at in August, I think, like early
uh,
August.
yeah, I think it's first week of August, something like that.
Yeah. So first week of August, we get United in Stormwind, and with it, we get a new set of 135 cards. And 15 of them have been revealed this time. No, 16. 16 have been revealed so far. So let's go over them.
All right.
So here's okay. This is the first card, Dungar, Flightmaster Dungar, and this was a card that was given to us already. This is the Vargoth of the set. This is the card that they just give to you before the set actually releases to try and generate hype for it. So Flightmaster Dungar, 3 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, choose a flight path and go dormant and awaken with a bonus when you complete it. So this is weird because the flight path. Okay, flight path. You can pick to be dormant 1, 3, or 5 turns, and depending on what you choose, Dungar will be dormant for that many turns, and then awaken with a different effect. So if you go dormant for 1 turn, you get a 2/2 adventure with a random bonus effect. These are just the adventurers with a keyword. In 3 turns, you heal 10 health to your hero. In 5 turns, you deal 12 damage randomly split among enemies. So I thought when I saw this card, I thought it was actually a very good card. I thought it would see play in a lot of decks. But it turns, and I thought this 1 turn effect would be really strong. This adventurer one, because it's a 3 mana 5/5, wakes up 1 turn later. But it turns out that that is just too slow, and these adventurers are just really not that impactful. These 2/2s are not that great when they come out on turn 4. Um,
Mhm.
Ironforge is not something that you should generally choose. You can't. It's hard to predict your death in 3 turns, and it's really if you're in danger right now, you don't really pick to heal your hero in 3 turns. So it's just not it requires you to be a little too like it makes you it causes it requires you to be too much of a prophet and foresee your future. And so I think that this is actually the best choice, the 5 turn choice, in terms of actual effect, because it does end up being a board clear for control decks, but it's a board clear in 5 turns, which is a little too far in the future. It does also burn your opponent for 12 if they have nothing on the board. So that's probably what you're looking to do, some kind of board clear burn thing. This is like the Mask Bethune, but like 5 turns later. So not that great, but maybe control decks want to run it for this effect. What do you think, Taco?
Well, I mostly agree. I think the turn one, what is it? The one turn dormant Westfall is pretty bad, for the reasons you stated. But I don't think the healing is that bad. Like in certain classes, if you're warlock, you're going to take damage in 3 turns. There's no way you're not going to want 10 healing in 3 turns, especially the way warlock currently plays out. Um, Also, if you're playing against something like burn mage, right? Like you're probably going to take damage. There's no way that 10 healing
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. So I think the situational of it does make it powerful. But yeah, most cases you're going to take the one that does damage if you are even playing this card. But it's just this card is it's just too slow. Like the dormant effect, paying 3 mana to essentially do nothing, right? And then getting this payoff later. I just and we're kind of seeing it now. Like this has not really done anything in the meta. This card has been out for what,
Yeah,
2 weeks now, a week,
it's been
and it
out.
hasn't really done anything. So I think it's safe to say this is probably not a good card.
Yeah. Oh, for ratings this time, Taco and I, since we've agreed to just do a rating, a three like basically a 3-star rating, kind of is what we're doing. 1 star, we're
Right.
just gonna call it bad. 2 stars, we're just gonna call it maybe it's good. We don't know. And 3 stars, like
Or-
we're pretty sure it's good.
Okay. Do you want to do stars or you want to say good, okay, bad?
Yeah, we do good, okay, bad. I'll just translate it into stars because I think people like
All right,
stars.
that's
But
fine.
really, it's just good, okay, bad.
All right,
Um,
all right. We'll keep this started.
this one's I think pretty safe to say bad. I'm
Yeah,
not
this is
I'm
much
not
more
sold on
bad.
Dungar. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
and we kind of cheated with this card. Like we saw it
yeah,
in
we know
play. It's not.
we do know
We
what
know it's
it's
not good.
capable of right now. So we did cheat with this card. So don't be too impressed if we're right on this one specifically.
Yeah.
Um,
And even if we're wrong, like if new cards come out, we could be wrong. Maybe the healing is good, but it's super unlikely.
yeah, I'm not seeing it. Moving on to the next card, which highlights. We're going to start to highlight the new keyword of the expansion, which is tradable. Here, tradable is what it means is you can drag these cards with tradable on it. Also has this little icon over here. You can drag these cards to your deck. It'll cost you 1 mana to do that, and what that will do is it will draw you a card and then shuffle the tradable card back into your deck. Um, there's a little small difference between shuffling a card into your deck and what tradable does. What tradable does is it for some reason keeps all enchantments. This was confirmed by a dev. It keeps all enchantments and the card goes into your deck. So for example, if you hand buff a card, it'll keep all the hand buffs and then it'll go into your deck shuffled with all the hand buffs. So when you draw it, you'll get a strong hand buffed card. Um, I think that's all we have to cover for tradable. So Taco, take this card.
All right, fire sale. So tradable, deal 3 damage to all minions. So I think any card with tradable, and I'll express this more when we get to the other more situational tradable cards. Um, you're by default. I think it'll just be okay. Like just playing a card to draw a card. It's like it's not a terrible thing to have. And if it does have an upside, like actually, this applies to a card later on. I'll explain it more. So by default, like tradable cards are probably not going to be terrible. A fire sale by itself, it's a 4 mana with 3 damage to all minions, so it's essentially Hellfire, except it doesn't hit anyone in the face. Like that's pretty good. I think this will see play, and if mage is good, if spell mage or whatever burn mage is good, I think this will see play in it. I think this is a good card.
Okay, yeah. I guess yeah, we should. I guess we should give our thoughts on tradable. You did give yours a little bit, but I'm very. I think tradable as a keyword is very cool. I think what it what it allows us to do, like dragging cards over the deck to do something different mechanically, that's very cool, and I like that Hearthstone has started to um explore mechanical changes to the game. But I don't actually think this keyword is very strong. Um, it really rewards having cards that are not good in the current situation that you want to shuffle into your deck to draw something else. But that's like something that you actively try to avoid in while you're deck building. You want to include cards that are applicable in a lot of situations, or like enough that you don't really like. You're not sad that this card is in your hand. Um, and I think so far, from what we see, and again, we'll get into it late. We'll get into the other tradable cards later, but I think most of these cards are generally pretty weak. And I'm not really sure that Fire Sale is that strong either, and I thought Fire Sale was really strong to start with as well, at least for Mage. But it ends up really just looking like it is a worse version, straight up, of Shard Shatter Mystic, which is now a 4 mana 3/2 after the nerf, and that's just not like yeah, and that comes with a body. Shard Shatter Mystic comes with a body. So this doesn't look that strong, but I do think that this card has a place in Mage. Mage currently is working with a lot of different packages. It's working with like a no minion package. It's working with a spell damage package. It's working with a freeze package, and it's working with a hero power package. It's working with a hero power package. So Mage is being a little spread out too thin, and it needs cards to try and connect two packages together. And the hero power package, I think, is a very good controlled style mage deck. Or at least it's not a really good one, but it's a control style mage deck because you're trying to get to Mordresh, the 10 mana card. You're trying to get to this guy right here and play him and blow your opponent up, right? So being able to combine that package with, for example, the spell damage package is something that should be desirable for mages. So Fire Sale scales very well with spell damage. We've seen that with Arcane Explosion, which scales very well, but that's a one-sided board clear. A control mage really wouldn't care about clearing their own boards, so I think we might be able to see Fire Sale in some kind of hero power spell damage mage. I'm not sure how good that is, but it's something. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about
I just think like just having a board clear, like old Flame Strike, right, was 7 mana, deal 4, and it was playable. And not playable in that sense. Like it was fine, right? It was something you wanted.
was
This is
something.
3 mana less. It comes out a lot earlier, and it's something you want as a. I'm thinking about this in Cantor's Flow Mage. What is it? What's
It's
that
just
thing?
spell
What do
mage,
people call it? Spell
burn
Mage, no
mage.
minion mage.
Yeah, no minion
Like
mage.
this is something that you're gonna want to see against
Yeah.
aggressive decks,
Mhm.
like Face Hunter, right? Like
Yep.
on turn 4, you have something to answer. Some like they'll probably have a board. I think this does have a place, and a tradable option of it is just the bonus.
Yeah.
Because if you do draw it and it's not good, you can cycle it, get to that Incanter's Flow, refresh and Spring Water or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and it's kind of skill testing in that regard. Like you have to make that cost. Like, is it worth trading in this this whatever board clear for something that I potentially don't know?
Yeah.
It's good and bad. And like the more cards you see, typically the better you do. So
Yeah, I've got
I
this.
I still think it's strong. I think it's fine.
I've got this as an
Like, will
okay card.
Mage be strong because of this? Probably not. Like, I don't think this is the card that's gonna make like Mage, no minion Mage good all of a sudden, but no minion Mage will probably want to play this card.
Yeah, I'm excited for this card. I'm not positive it's good, but it's definitely not a bad card. So I'm gonna give this an okay rating. It's all right.
And the thing about tradable is, and I guess we'll talk about more later
Yeah, well, I
on,
mean, we
but
got more tradable cards coming up right
okay,
now.
sure.
So I'm just gonna put the next one up. We'll talk about it, and then you can continue on tradable.
All
The
right.
next card is Heavy Plate. This is a Warrior 3 mana card. Tradable. Just gain 8 armor. So I think this card is horrible. It is so bad. um, very very quickly, I think people were comparing this straight up to Shield Block, and I think that is a horrible comparison because they think about drawing a card and gaining armor, and that's what Shield Block does at one time. But this is not drawing a card. If you gain armor, you're not drawing a card, and if you draw a card, you're not gaining armor. That's not what that's the choice you have to make when you decide between trading Heavy Plate and playing Heavy Plate. So I really want to get away from this Shield Block comparison, and I want to bring it closer to Radiance, the priest one. Like this priest, I don't. It's not even in Hearthstone. It's not even in Standard anymore. But it's like a 1 mana heal 5 to your hero, and that's exactly what Heavy Plate is. Except it costs 2 more mana for 3 more health, quote unquote health, because armor is kind of health. And I think that is just a horrible, horrible trade. You do not want to pay 2 more mana for 3 more health. And I don't like. I mean, Radiance wasn't even played, so in order for this card to be good, you're gonna really want to see some kind of armor synergies with Warrior, and those have been really horrible so far. Like cards like I think the only one that I can think of right now is this 3 mana card in Warrior, Ironclad. Yeah, this is like the only card I can think of right now, and this card is not seeing play because of Heavy Plate, and Heavy Plate is not seeing play because of that card. So I'm just gonna real quick get this out of here. I think this is just straight up bad.
Yeah, I think this card is okay, and then this is more about the tradable mechanic. Like, first of all, if you're playing tradable, you're probably not playing a tempo deck. Like tradable is horrible, and I think in most tempo decks where you want to be on the board, you want to spend your mana to keep yourself ahead and be on the board. This is a control card where it's okay to pay a mana to do something like in priest. Like how often do you just hero power pass? This is like not really hero power. You're not losing anything. You're paying 1 mana to cycle to see if you can do better. And 8 armor for 3 mana is not horrible. Like mage, I'll use mage as an example. Ice barrier is 3 mana. Is 3 mana what gain 8 when they attack. This is kind of like ice barrier. Well,
Mhm.
it's basically ice barrier, right? Except you don't have
It
to wait for your
is.
opponent to attack. And that's like something you're pretty happy to see in situations. It's not something you're happy about to put in your deck, but if you played that card from Darkmoon Fair, what am I thinking about? Discover 2 secrets.
Yeah, ring toss.
Um, ring toss, right? You ring toss, you see an ice barrier playing them against aggressive deck. Like you will take the ice barrier. And so this is what I think this card really is that you're just gonna keep cycling it until one of two things happens. You're about to die. So you're gonna like gain 8 armor,
Then
to
you
keep
play.
yourself alive, and that's a reasonable thing to do as a as a control class or as a control deck. Or you're gonna decide I don't want to draw anymore, and you're just gonna gain 8 armor. And that's fine too. Um, Although it doesn't really put you in fatigue. Tradable doesn't really put you in fatigue, but maybe I don't know. You look in your deck, there's like I just want to cash an 8 armor.
Yeah, I'm.
And yeah,
Oh, I don't.
yeah,
I don't. I just want to. Oh wait, no. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish.
I was gonna say like for that, like if there's a control warrior, that's why I say it's okay. Like if there's a control warrior, it's gonna consider this.
I'm
Um,
not sure that warrior is so desperate that it's looking for ice. But like for mage, ice bear is great because it's mage is a class that lacks healing and armor or like ways to gain health or like defend themselves. But like warrior is like it has rush. It's got like taunts. Like those are two of warrior strengths, and it's also got armor gain. Like armor gain is also another one of strengths. So it like armor's like I mean I'm sorry. Warrior as a class really doesn't value this card as much as mage would probably. So that's why I think it's just bad. Uh,
well, I'll put it this way: if there was a card, like forget about the tradable mechanic, but if there was a card that just said pay 1 mana, shuffle this into your deck, draw a card, would most like control decks consider that just as
pay
is?
one,
If you
just a
play this
blank
deck,
card, just like a.
yeah, if you play this deck solely for the point of just trading it, like would a control deck consider it? I think maybe.
They might, but I don't think this. I like here's where yeah we're gonna get into more tradable and tradable talks, but yeah I don't think tradable card is gonna be playable because it's tradable. It's gonna be playable because the effect on it is good, and not because it's tradable. And tradable will just be a bonus on top of it. Tradable
You
is
don't
not.
think anyone will play a tradable card? Like if it was just tradable, if it was a blank card that just said tradable.
I don't think it would see play.
Okay,
I don't think tradable is a strong enough mechanic that is like I don't think that's
it's
good.
not horrible. Like that's why I say it's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. Like
I
it's perfectly fine if you just want to cycle through your deck for
it
whatever reason. Maybe
it
you have
would
a
be a one
wish
mana
or
draw one, but then shuffle this bad card back into your deck. Where if you draw
but
it
it's not a
again,
bad card because it's 1 mana draw one again.
well, I mean that's just basically a tax on your next card. It's a one mana tax on your next card.
Right, it's a 1 mana tax, but it's not a problem when you're. That's why I said I don't think it's this goes in like tempo decks,
Yeah,
where you don't care about spending mana to
no,
do
I agree.
stuff like this.
I agree. I agree that it like tradable isn't a very tempo friendly keyword. Like tempo decks aren't trying to look through their deck and shuffle and look for cards typically. They you know they want to put stuff on board, hit people in the face. But I'm yeah I don't even think this card is good enough in
Oh, and
control.
the arbor synergy does matter. Silas OTK.
Yeah, it
It
does. But
is a thing. It does somewhat matter.
it yeah it does some. I guess it does. But I've control warrior is not in a good spot right now. We're
Yeah,
gonna have to see some support for
it's
this.
bad.
I don't know what we're looking for, but if you're saying it's okay, hopefully
I think
I'm
it's okay because healing isn't terrible and tradable isn't terrible. If you're a control deck, it's okay. Warrior this doesn't make control warrior good, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
I'm ready to be proven wrong. I'm excited for. I want to be excited about these cards. So if like if this looks like pack filler to me, so if a pack fillery card like this ends up seeing play, I'm excited. I'm excited to be proven wrong. But let's move on to impatient shopkeeper, which is over here. This is yours. So yeah, take it.
Impatient shopkeeper, so it's another tradable card. 3 mana, 3/3 tradable rush. Um, well, it's a 3 mana, 3/3, which is pretty bad. 3 mana rush is like it's fine, right? But yeah, this is pretty bad. Maybe you get it after athletic studies and you want to bank the mana, right? So you played a tradable thing. So if you play tradable in athletic studies, it doesn't count. I don't think it shouldn't count. So you still keep the 1 mana discount for the next turn. That's probably the only use of this. I don't see this really, unless you really
Yeah,
need to kill something. It's probably a card you generate off athletic studies. It's probably nothing you ever put in your deck. It's a
this is
bad
pack
card.
filler. Yeah, this is probably bad.
It's a bad card to put in your deck. It's okay to discover sometimes,
Yeah,
but we won't get into that too much.
this looks like the stereotypical like card that they print to be like this is the new keyword, look at it, and it's like for like education purposes to teach people like what teach maybe a new player like this is what a
Yeah.
tradable card is. It's very simple, very easy to present to a new player, but yeah, this is not a good card. I think this is just straight up bad. um it does, yeah, what you mentioned about athletic studies and generating this does remind me to bring up Like that's a cool thing about tradable. Like when you generate a tradable card, you can swap it for a card in your deck. So if it's like something really bad, like if you just get offered three bad options, you take the tradable card, you put it in your deck, get a card from your deck for real. And that's an option you can
Well,
have, and that's kind of cool.
that's kind of a niche use as well because
Yep, it is.
you're putting the 3 mana 3/3 into your deck to draw later.
Yep.
And this is a tempo. That's as a tempo class. Like you don't want that.
No, you
So it's
definitely don't.
also kind of bad. I don't know how bad your options are, but maybe don't take the tradable.
It's just another,
Even though
it's
I
just
didn't
another
mention it,
thing.
I thought about it. Yeah, I was like, do I really want to shuffle this? No, I
It
don't know.
it's kind of
It's just bad.
yeah, it's more of a this is an option you have. Not I'm
Yeah,
not saying do that. That's not a strong
yeah.
thing to do.
It's additional things you can do
Yeah.
that might suck, but it's there if you need to
All
for
right.
whatever reason. I don't know.
So the next card, the next tradable card that we're going over, and the last one is the card that I wanted to review specifically from this set of 16 cards, and it's Rust Rot Viper. It's a 3 mana 3/4 beast. It's tradable, and the battle cry is to destroy your opponent's weapon. And I wanted to review this specifically because I wanted to tell everyone that this card sucks. Like even like people really overrate ooze. So when they looked at this card at first, a lot of people were telling me that this was how they were going to do tech cards, and this is what is going to make tech cards great. And I wanted to say this is not what's going to make a tech card great. Like this is still a bad card. People, you still should not run tech cards in your deck if you want to maximize your win rate. The fact that it's tradable doesn't make it better. Yes, it does make it better. I'm sorry, it does make it better, but it doesn't make it good. Um, it's an ooze that you can shuffle into your deck and maybe get something useful for the scenario where your opponent either isn't running weapons or doesn't have one up yet. So that's what's going to make it a better ooze, and I strictly do think this is a better ooze. Even though it is 1 mana more, and you probably want your tech options to be as cheap as possible, the fact that this is tradable is worth way more than 1 mana for a tech card like this. So yeah, I'm on the wagon of this is bad, straight up. I know people might say this is okay, and maybe Taco says this is okay. I don't know, but yeah, I don't believe it at all.
Oh, uh, as a card that destroys your weapon. Well, there's this comparison about ooze about the 1 mana thing. I'm actually not sure, not entirely sold that this is better because I'm thinking about decks that do play ooze. That 1 mana difference, right, between ooze and viper. Like if you're playing viper, well, first of all, I agree. Like if you're playing viper solely for the sake that you want to destroy your opponent's weapon, it's horrible. For the same reason that ooze is bad.
Yep.
It having tradable and that you can draw a card and not make it a dead card in certain matchups doesn't really make up for that. Unless you're a control class, maybe it doesn't matter where you float man anyways. But on the ooze comparison, like you want your text cards to be as cheap as possible,
Mm-hmm.
so they don't interrupt with what else you're doing that turn. I haven't played enough OTKDH or like any really control class to really think if that 1 mana does matter or not. Like maybe that 1 mana means you can't play ooze and skull in the same turn. If that's significant enough to say, okay, well, Viper is still better, even though it does cost more and it's better statted. It's a beast too. If that matters.
Oh, it is a
Probably
beast.
not.
Yeah,
Maybe you're playing
probably
this
not.
off. Yeah, it's a beast. But yeah, overall, it's a bad card. I don't really have anything to say, but I think 1 mana does matter,
The
and
beast.
maybe Ooze still sees play regardless that. But it's really hard to gauge. It really depends on like what kind of deck is it going into. And the only thing I can think of is a TKDH.
The beast
Like
tag is irrelevant. Like the only thing that
it's
matters when we're talking about
off,
beasts is like N'Zoth. Oh, it's a hunter first, right? It's hunter first,
right?
and hunter has no beast. No,
Sometimes red.
doesn't have really strong beast synergies right now. And yeah, N'Zoth. So this would be your beast from N'Zoth, which I don't think they have a beast right now. So I mean that's relevant for maybe priest or whoever.
They do. Venomous Scorpid.
They do have Venomous Corp, and I think that's a lot better of a beast to revive than Rust Rot Viper. So yeah, this is not likely to see play. I wouldn't bank on this being optimal at all. All right, so let's move on. They released a lot of cycles this time around. One of the cycles is weapons. So yeah, they didn't really specify if every class is going to get these weapons, but I'm going to assume that a few classes are going to get these weapons. Maybe the other classes get mounts, or maybe some
I
of them.
think every class. I heard every class is getting a weapon, but only the Alliance heroes are getting a mount.
Okay, interesting.
So no Demon Hunter mount.
So Alliance heroes.
I don't know what Alliance hero is. I
Wait,
heard that from like a
there's
different.
There's a demon hunter. We'll just when it comes out, we'll see. But I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I'll trust you. Every class is getting a weapon, but this is a warlock weapon, and it's yours actually. So I'm just gonna shut up.
Well, after you draw 4 cards, so that's 4 cards, reduce the cost of cards in hand by 1, lose 1 durability. It's a 3 mana 0/2 weapon, so it has 2 durability. You can do the discount twice. I think this card is bad for 3 mana to equip it and essentially do nothing. Like, I don't even know how you draw 4 cards in 1 turn, so you get the immediate discount, like the turn you play it. Um, Other weapons I can think of. Well, there's also the other warlock weapon, Skull of Minari, right? You pay 5 mana, it
Yeah.
essentially does nothing, but you're pretty much guaranteed, or you're not all the time, but you want to equip that one as soon as possible. So the next turn, right? You maybe get a payoff. This I don't even think you're like you're guaranteed a payoff in the next turn if you play this on 3. It seems kind of
No.
bad. I can't think of a good use for this, but need to see more. It could end up being okay because mana cheat does almost always end up being really good. But 4 cards is a lot.
Hmm. No,
Life tap is only 1 card.
I
Like,
totally
I
agree.
just don't think I can activate this
Yeah, I totally agree.
consistently.
Oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
I wasn't finished by my thought. Yeah, go ahead.
You got it? Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. This doesn't look really exciting as a I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting because Mana Cheat always is, and it always like starts enabling things that no one ever thinks of. Like maybe it enables an OTK combo out of nowhere. But this is a really awkward card to print for Warlock right now. Warlock is currently the worst class. Like the only playable-ish archetype for it is Control Warlock, and that's arguable whether it's playable or not. So really, we're working with, does this work in a Control Warlock or does it work in a Zoo Warlock? Those are really kind of the two ideas they're printing for Warlock. I don't really think there's anything else. And I think well. First of all, it's horrible in Zoo. I don't know how this would ever see play in Zoo, because you can't just spend 3 mana on a 0/2 weapon that reduces your already cheap hand to be even cheaper. Yeah, because Zoo Warlock is working with the understanding that Flesh Giant is your most expensive minion, but after that it's Hand of Gul'dan. That is your most expensive card. So your hand is generally already, and then after that, I think the most expensive card is like the 4 mana 5/5 rush, the Nightshade Matron. Um, so your hand's going to be already really, really cheap, and you're not really going to want to reduce your hand further. Like by the time you're at 4 or 5 mana, you can kind of play the cards that you think are important in your hand already. In a Control Warlock, you're not interested in drawing cards very rapidly, or else they would be playing cards like Backfire, or like stuff like that. So it's going to be a really, really front loaded. It's going to be 3 mana front loaded. Like you're going to spend the 3 mana, but like you're going to get it maybe 2, 3 turns later. And you will reduce a giant hand, but that's not what Control Warlock is missing right now. They're not missing ways to get their cards out. They're missing cards that defend them or like can generate tempo or can clear while developing. So this card really isn't what Control Warlock is missing right now, and so therefore I think this card it's okay. It's okay because it opens up a lot of things for Warlock in the future, but it's leading on bad. Like I'm in between okay and bad right now.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I think we basically agree though. This is not exciting for right now in terms of
Yeah.
playability.
It costs too much and the requirement's too hard.
Yeah. So speaking about costing too much and requirement being hard, this is not an example of that. The other weapon that we got revealed to us is Prismatic Jewel Kit. This is a paladin weapon, a 1 mana 0/3. After a friendly minion loses Divine Shield, give all minions in your hand +1/+1, and then lose 1 durability. So right away, I want to get this out of the way. I think this card is bad. Like I think if it sees play, I'd be very, very surprised. And the reason I say that is because uh, I want to ask everyone the question: is this better than Sword of the Fallen? No. Sword of the Fallen is probably better. It comes with a stronger package. Divine Shield is not a package that is being supported like as a complete idea in Paladin right now. It's not being supported. We might see Divine Shield get supported with this set, but I'm not sure. Like right now, it doesn't look good, right? So the other thing is that hand buff is not strong. and is not strong by itself. That's what I want to say. It's strong. It sees play right now in Rush Warrior with conditioning because Rush Warrior can reclaim the tempo that it loses with Rush minions. So and big hand buffed Rush minions are also act as removal. And it's very good removal because it also develops. So Rush Warrior works as an idea because they can reclaim that tempo. Paladin doesn't have Rush as one of its main strengths. It has taunts and it has Divine Shields. So Divine Shield taunts would be your way to regain tempo that you lose from playing this Prismatic Jewel Kit or from playing maybe suboptimal Divine Shields in order to proc Prismatic Jewel Kit. But like that's one of the weirdest feelings in Hearthstone, like just slamming down one big minion and praying your opponent doesn't have hard removal for it. And the reason why it's one of the weirdest feelings is because you know that if your opponent has hard removal for this minion, you're kind of screwed. So that's why I think that this Divine Shield hand buff idea doesn't really it's not really coherent, and it's not really a strong way to win the game. So there's many reasons that I would doubt this card, and so I think it's bad.
Yeah. I think this is probably bad just based off of what we've seen. Divine Shield minions aren't terrible, but in order for hand buff to work, it works in Rush Warrior because your minions have initiative, so you can hand buff and take the board in the same turn.
Mm-hmm.
Where like if you just hand buff and you play, I don't know, an Argent Squire,
Oh yeah.
and you hand buff it +1/+1, it's a 2/2, or maybe play a bunch of Argent Squires. I don't know what your deck is doing. It's a lot of stats, but it doesn't really do anything. Your opponent can still has initiative to do stuff, which is like stuff like rush and charge are really important when it comes to hand buff. I don't think Paladin has enough stuff like that to make use of the hand buff. But just comparing this to conditioning is 2 mana on turn 5. It's +3/+3. This is 1 mana +3/+3, and it might come out on turn 5 or it might come out like there is some comparison there. Um, Loses Divine Shield, like your minions will naturally lose Divine Shield. You don't really have to go out of your way to do it. Loraxian is a card that's
Lithraxian.
still
Yeah.
Lorthraxian. Yep,
Lithraxian.
it gives your hero power Divine Shield, so you can proc it that way. I don't know. There's stuff this can do, but I just don't know if you can play a 1 mana 0/3 and wait that long and not have initiative to take the board back. But I could see this maybe being okay or even good because hand buff, when it's pretty cheap hand buff.
It is
And we
cheap
saw what
hand buff.
conditioning
That's true.
does. There's
It's
potential, but at the moment, I can't say this card is good.
it's cheap, but your opponent can ignore it on their turn. Like they could just attack over your Divine Shields if they don't have taunt.
They could, but then you proc it on your turn.
Yeah, but it's like
It's
they're going
isn't
face and you're not. So it's kind
but
of
isn't it kind of like Octobot in that regards, where you want to proc the Octobot on your turn?
no, not necessarily. I
So
mean, you
your
get
opponent
one
doesn't draw the
extra.
extra card?
Yeah, Paladin. Okay, here's what I was about to say. Paladin doesn't have card draw for
Yeah.
minions. It doesn't draw into minions easily. Like you can use like Knight of Anointment and it draws into a holy spell.
It draws a skull, but yeah,
Or
this
you can
does nothing.
use or you could use in order to draw a minion or just draw a card. You would use the Northwatch commander and draw a card, but then you're playing secrets. And then you're playing Sword of the Fallen, right? So this is like a little like they're butting heads. The idea of secrets and this weapon is butting heads currently. So we need to see some kind of card draw for Paladin to make this even like
Yeah.
considerable. And so yeah, so again, Paladin doesn't draw cards, so it's hard to hand buff a big hand with this. Rogue can draw cards, so that's why like Octobot is scary, and you should probably proc it on your turn instead of let the Rogue do their turn and then proc Octobot, because the Rogue can draw like 3 extra cards and then reduce 3 extra cards worth.
Right.
But Paladin doesn't. Like this is not a card that I'm scared of to see in Paladin probably. But yep, I think we've kind of gone through it enough. I think we shouldn't spend too much time on this card. It's not that great.
Yeah, it's not even interesting.
So here's the next cycle of cards. These are mounts, and Taco said that only the Alliance classes get mounts. I'm not sure what the Alliance classes are, but you can fill me in a bit. But basically, what mounts do is they buff their buffs to your minions, and then it gives you that the minion that you buffed death rattle, and then summon like whatever stats they buffed your minion. So okay, that was such a horrible way to explain. Let me just give you an example. So the Alec mount gives you +4/+7 and taunt. right? And so when your minion dies, it will give you a 4/7 with taunt right here, Zyrella Zelik. So just look at the stats, look at the effect, and that's the minion. All right, take it away, Taco. This is your card.
Yeah, it's a better Spike Ridge Steed. I don't know how to compare it to Spike Ridge Steed. It costs more, but you get more stats for what you pay for. Um, I mean, there's talks about this card. Maybe it sees play in Miracle Priest, like you hard run it in Miracle Priest because Nazmani is really good at making things cost almost 0 mana. Um, what am I thinking of? 3 mana palm reading. Discounts can discount this. That adds up with Nazmani. But I mean, this isn't a card that if you're playing a control priest, you're not going to hard run this. And we have the control priest nerf coming in, so I don't even know if I can even shift it all even more. Um, this is probably a bad card. It's not something you want to see. It's something you want to generate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you consider it as Miracle Priest, but Miracle Priest as is isn't a good deck. I don't think this makes it a good deck. So I'm going to say this is a bad card.
Oh, really? I was gonna if I were to review this card first, I would also bring up Miracle Priest. But I think because of Miracle Priest, I think this card is okay. Like I'm not positive it's bad. It is Spike Ridge Steed, which is a very very strong card, by the way. But it is for a class that doesn't really make tokens or stick minions as easily. So it is, Paladin being a good example of why Spike Ridge Steed is good in Paladin, is because it makes those hero power tokens for free. Priest doesn't really do that, so it is a little more questionable in Priest, and it is also very very expensive. So that's why I can't give it a good rating at all. Control Priest would definitely never run this. Just like we just mentioned it, I think I just mentioned it like the card before, but slamming a very expensive and very big minion down is a really easy way. It feels really vulnerable because your opponent could just bounce this back to your hand, and then you just waste the 7 mana, or they could just hard remove it. Like, I mean, then you get a 6 mana four. I mean, then you get a 4/7 taunt, right? So that's not that bad, but that's not what Control Priest wants to do. They don't want to be vulnerable like that. And it's just again flat out just so much mana. Like we're talking about Soul Mirror levels of mana. So when you compare Soul Mirror's strength to Elec Mount's strength, you kind of get an idea of what Control Priest might want to do at those mana levels, and it's not even close. Soul Mirror is probably a lot better. Provides removal as well as development. And Elec Mount does not. Yeah. So I'm on the okay. I could lean towards bad with you, but I think it does have potential. We'll see what Miracle Priest can do.
Okay.
Okay. So the other mount we got revealed was, whoops, it's down here for some reason. Why is Hunter down here? But yeah, we got a Hunter mount. So this is a Hunter 3 mana spell, ramming mount. Give a minion +2/+2 and immune while attacking. And then when it dies, summon the ram. So once again, the ram is exactly those stats and that effect. So it's a 2 mana 2/2 immune while attacking. I think this card is pretty regular. It's an okay card, but it's actually straight up not going to see play because Hunter is doing things with Barak Kotobane right now, and they're doing things with Mankrik. And the fact that this is a 3 mana spell is going to be dooming for it. It doesn't fit into the current Face Hunter package, and so we'll have to see a whole different Face Hunter package come out before we can consider this card inside of Face Hunter. Or we can start talking about other archetypes of Hunter that won't run Barak Kotobane. But I think it's actually kind of hard to not run Barak Kotobane in Hunter. I think that card is completely absurd. 5 mana, 3/5, draw 3 is definitely something you want to be running in all Hunters. And so it's a matter of, will this beat out Mankrik in those Hunters? And probably not. I don't think so. It's also a card that doesn't go face as Hunter efficiently. It's a 3 mana deal 2 damage face. And it's an immune while attacking, so you're really incentivized to trade with this. So this is kind of a card that goes that tells Hunter, we're not really going face, but we probably want to trade, and that's not what Hunter wants to hear from a card that it's given. So I'm on the bad rating for this.
Yeah, as is, this card is bad. I think all hunters will play Barak Kotobane regardless, but it's more Mankrik Kotobane. Do you want to target the mount? But yeah, I agree. This card is bad for the reason that when you play Barak Kotobane as Hunter, you want it to always get you, or almost always get you, the
Mancrick's gone.
Mancrick's wife, right?
Yeah, Mancrick's gone.
And yeah, and that's assuming that you played Mancrick. But even if you didn't, like you probably don't want a ramming mount draw a ramming mount. There's some cool stuff that this does. Maybe it does something called Rhino, where it pushes extra damage. You can play the 1 mana weapon. Can't
Oh,
remember
Trampling
it.
Rhino.
Trampling Rhino with the 1 mana. What's that card called? The 1 mana 1/4
1 mana 1/4. 1 mana 1/4.
weapon.
Oh,
One
Dream
mana
Crescent.
1/4.
Oh my god, I thought you were talking about a
Very
minion.
impressive. You can make something immune, make a minion immune. I don't know. It's not good in Face Hunter, but there might be some hunter that wants to do that. Overall, this is just showing that maybe Blizzard stops pushing Face Hunter.
So that's gonna be dooming
It's
for Hunter.
I can see this being good or okay even. Let's say good even.
Oh,
But
you think
as
it's
is,
good?
no, I think it can be good if Blizzard wants to push
Oh
a
man.
mid-range hunter. This is exactly what you would do as mid-range hunter, right? Like a control.
Go. I don't know. Good is a little strong. Good is
Well,
very strong of
like
a word here.
if that was an archetype, right? This would be a great card. This would be a good card. That's all I'm saying. Like it's not good now in the
Oh
context of
man.
cards that we have. There is no control mid-range hunter.
It's
But if there was, this would be a good card.
I'm not gonna lie. I reserve my good ratings. I don't think this is anywhere near good. Didn't you say it
I'm
was
not going
bad
to
a
say
few
it's
seconds
good,
ago?
but with more
Okay,
cards, like 8 more hunter cards, who knows? But
we'll
as
see.
is,
We'll see. But I really doubt. I mean, I think Kodabane and Mancrick just kind of doom this card.
If you were really a mid-range hunter, you probably play both. I don't know.
I'm
I'm
not
gonna say it's
positive.
bad,
Yeah,
but
I'm not sold on that
it
one
has
either.
potential.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next card. This is. I don't want to spend too much time on this card either. The next card. Okay, so here's the last cycle of cards that they're introducing, or rather, they're reintroducing this cycle of cards because it's quests. This time they're called quest lines, and there is a difference. Here's the difference. But also, let me pull up the mage cards because it'll be able to show me the difference. Okay, so this is a quest. It's basically a quest. It begins in your mulligan. You play it for 1 mana. Generally on turn 1, but you play it how you want it. But it okay. So this is the condition to fulfill the quest, and then you get the first reward, and then you activate the second quest. So Sorcerer's Gambit comes down. You fulfill this condition. You get the reward, which is a small reward, not the actual questline reward. And then you activate Stall for Time, which is the second phase of the questline. You do that effect, and then you get that reward. And then you activate the third phase of the questline. And so you do that condition, and then you get that reward. And that third phase reward, is the actual reward of the questline. And so the questline will be resolved. So far from the two questlines we've seen, you get a minion, and it looks like it's going to be a 5 mana 7/7 for all of the classes that get a quest. And I think every class is getting a quest, I believe. So every class is going to get access to this 5 mana 7/7 with an effect.
Yeah, there's an adventure for every class from the from Forged in the Barrens.
Yeah, you get a
Yeah, you
leveled
can
up version
look
of
through
the
that.
adventurer, or the
Right.
mercenary rather.
Yep.
All right, this is your card, so I'm gonna let you take this one.
Sorcerer's Gambit. Oh yeah. Thanks for explaining this. I didn't want to. It's a
It's a
lot of
mess.
stuff.
It's a mess.
This card is I don't know. I think people will play this card
Oh,
and will
read
know
it.
very
No, let's
quickly
read it so
if this card is
listeners
good or not.
might be able to hear it.
All right. So questline: cast the Fire, Frost, and Arcane spell. Reward: you draw a spell, and it upgrades to the second phase, which is Stall for Time. And it's the same thing. You cast the Fire, Frost, and Arcane spell. Your reward is you discover one. And I don't understand what this means. Like discover one of the things that you previously cast, or just discover
Oh, that's a
one Fire,
good
Frost, and Arcane.
question.
I don't think anyone's ever clarified this
Wow,
because
that's
I
a good
know that a lot
question.
of people have had this question.
So yeah, is it just discover a spell, or is it discover a fire, frost, and arcane spell, or
Or
is it like
discover one of
discover
the
one of
ones
the ones you
played
played?
already.
Yeah, that is very confusing. I did not
Because
even think of that.
if it was one of the ones you played already, is it bad or better? I actually don't know.
That's a
I
good
can't decide
question.
it.
That's a good I don't know. Oh
No
man.
idea. Reach the portal, you do the same thing, cast the Fire, Frost, and Arcane spell, and you get Arcanist Dawn Grasp, who's a 5 mana 7/7 who gives you a permanent spell damage +3. So it's like spell damage +3 permanent is really good. Like Rune Orb is what? Rune Orb is 2 mana. That's
Deal
just the smallest
5.
spell I can think of.
Deal
Yeah, it's
5.
5
Yeah,
damage.
that's
It's
a
almost a
fireball.
fireball for half the cost. Fireball's insane. Fireball's almost a pyroblast
Fireball's a
and so
pyroblast.
on.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely very powerful expect, but you're playing 9 spells to get there. And I just don't know if it's viable. And also just building your deck, right? Like you can do an experiment right now. Assume that all the mage cards are relevant for the class that for this quest. You can put the quest in. And I don't think you can actually build a viable deck with this. Um, Missing piece is frost spells.
Oh
Don't
no,
think
it's
there's enough
fire. It's
frost.
fire.
Fire is fine. Fireball, combustion,
I mean,
and fire
frost
sale
is
are
fine.
fine.
Frost has brain
Frost, you
freeze.
have brain
It's got
freeze,
ice
maybe
barrier.
flurry.
Cone of
I don't
cold
think you
is
want to play
actually
ice
good.
barrier. Cone of cold, like I mean, if you want to play, if you have to play Cone of Cold,
With
if you're
spell damage
forced to
plus
play
3.
Cone of Cold,
With spell damage plus 3, you're not interested in cone of cold. Maybe in a
oh,
little bit.
activating the quest, like are you?
That is true. That is
I don't.
sucky.
It's not good just to get there. Like, you're paying 3 mana for like a really bad Frost Nova just for the sake of. I think Frost is the missing piece.
Okay,
Arcane is fine.
yeah, we can
Doing
agree.
an Arcane
Arcane
is
is fine. Yeah, Arcane
yeah.
is totally happy.
Fire is fine too because these are much better removals. Like combustion is a fine removal.
It's
If you really needed
worse.
to play Flame Strike, it's fine too. Fireball's fine. Probably the best card. Fire Sale,
Oh,
the new
fire
card
sale.
that
You
we
know,
just
fire
saw, was
sale. Yeah,
fine
we did
too.
just see fire sale for mage.
Yeah. And it's tradable, so you can trade it for a frost spell. I don't know. This is. I don't think this is gonna work
See, you
as a
currently
deck.
think it's bad, right?
Yeah, I think it's bad. I don't even think with we have 2 mage cards, so with 7 more mage cards, like maybe 2 or 3 of them are frost spells, and even if they're good frost spells, I don't even think you can make a deck out of it. I just don't know it's mathematically possible.
Yeah, I'm also on the same train. I think it's just bad for now. Um, and you know, I think that should be given. I think, and it's going to be tough to get to rate quest lines because they're kind of like all the quests from before that we've seen before are have also all looked like they sucked because the support didn't come. Like, you know, when we get the quests, especially this early in the reveal season, um, like we didn't see support for it, so it's hard to say that this quest will fail right now. And then, like, you know, tomorrow, like, we just get revealed like all the things that support it. So it's really hard to predict correctly whether this quest line will fail right now. And so I find it really tough to give this a bad rating. But the reason I'm going to give it a bad rating anyway is because these quest lines, you can't progress to the next phase until you've completed it. So that
Yeah.
means you must play a Fire, Frost, and Arcane spell, and then you get to the second phase. And then you have to cast another Fire, Frost, and Arcane spell, and then you get to the third phase to do that again. So this is really, it's just a really, really tough quest to complete. And we don't have anything that supports, like, we don't have Twin Spell, is the first thing that comes to my mind. We don't have Twin Spell. Like, Raid of Frost would have been 2 Frost spells in 1 card. And the quest line kind of admits that it's tough for you to, you know, refuel after you cast all these spells. So it kind of gives you, like, a reward of, oh, draw a spell from your deck. Oh, maybe discover a spell so you can discover what you're missing. So it's kind of like the quest line is trying to help you complete it, but I don't think that you're going to complete it early enough with our current card set. And I think Fire is actually, Fire is the one that Fire is the one I think is the weakest. Like, you're not really going to want to sling your Fireball before you get spell damage +3. You know, like, then it's just a Fireball, which is fine still.
Yeah.
But then if you're if
Yeah. Yeah.
no, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, and it's also kind of bad where you have to do a fire, frost, and arcane, like 3 different types. So if you have a handful of fire spells, are you really not going to play any fire spells because you might need them for the second quest line?
Yeah.
It just there's so many hands that you can have that I can think of where this is just it just sucks. You're just in a bad situation.
Mhm. I think Ruined Orb is going to be an MVP. If this quest is good, Ruined Orb is going to be an MVP because it's an arcane spell, and then you can discover a frost or a fire spell or whatever you're missing. And I think discovery as a keyword will really help this quest line a lot. So I do think that finishing phase 2 is a really great way to help you finish phase 3. But again, then you're playing a 5 mana 7/7 without taunt, without
Oh
rush.
right, yeah,
So
yeah. It doesn't even summon it for you. You have to play it.
yeah. So yeah, you don't really get this spell damage until you play this Dawn Grasp card, and that is really tough. I'm not sure how this is gonna work. So I've got bad for
Okay, so
him.
even with support, I don't see this being good. So you have to play 9 spells
Hmm.
on top of this being a quest. So your opening hand is essentially you're playing 1 card down because
Hmm.
it's a quest,
Yep.
and you need extra cards to complete the quest. And then on top of that, you need to have 5 mana to
Yeah.
play a 7/7.
Yes.
And then who knows? Like, I know I don't think this is gonna work. The
It's
more I think
definitely
about it,
it's definitely yeah, definitely you can argue for maybe okay for now and we'll see, but I don't really believe in it currently.
I don't
I'd have
believe
to
it
see
at
some crazy
all.
support cards. And I don't think Fire Sale
Yeah,
is an example of a crazy support card. So
it's a fire card, some support.
it is a fire card. I mean it is okay, it is something that I said it's missing. It's missing a good fire spell that
Mhm.
isn't burn. And Fire Sale is a good fire spell that isn't burn. It is
Which is
it's
it's really
removal,
awesome.
which is something you probably want with this. Yeah,
Yeah,
moving on
it's
though
pretty
to the other
cool.
quest. All right, this is the Demon Sea. This is the Warlock quest line. It's okay. So the quest line is to take the first phase of the quest line is to take 6 damage on your turns. And the reward is to life. It's just to deal 3 damage to the enemy hero and life steal that. Um, then the second phase is to take 7 damage on your turns, and the reward is the same as the first phase, which is to deal 3 damage and life steal that to the hero, to the enemy hero. And then the final phase 3, is to take 8 damage on your turns, and then you get Blightborn Tamsin, which is a 5 mana 7/7. A battle cry for the rest of the game. Damage you take on your turn damages your opponent instead. So I think this card, like when I first looked at this card, I really didn't like it. You have to take 6 damage on your turn, then 7 damage on your turn, then 8 damage on your turn, which totals up to 21 damage. And that is a
Mhm.
lot of damage to be dealing to your own hero. You have to do that actively to your hero. And that's why I still don't like it. I think this damage you have to do to yourself is still way too much. Um, it's easy to deal damage to yourself, with tapping and with cards like Backfire, Raise Dead. So it's kind of easy to do damage to yourself. But that's why, like, the fact that this quest requires you to do that to yourself while your opponent is also beating you down in the face, I think is a big red flag for me. And Tamsin is a very strong effect for the rest of the game. Damage that you take during your turn, damage your opponent instead. That includes fatigue damage. So you could mill yourself really rapidly, get to a state where your deck is empty, and just start like really rapidly fatiguing yourself to damage your opponent instead. Like that's an interesting combo idea, but it is so the deck that would force you to play is a deck that a damages yourself, playing 1 card behind because you have the quest in your mulligan. So you have to damage yourself, heal yourself because you're damaging yourself so much, clear your opponent's board / play your own board, and also mill yourself. So that's 4 different things that you have to do with and also, by the way, you also have to have somewhere doing all these 4 things have 5 free mana to play Tamsin. So we've got a lot of conditions for this card to be good, and that is just, I think that's a big red flag. So I gotta say this card is bad.
Yeah, I think this is hard to rate. I do think this is better than the Mage Quest. Because when you pay 5 mana for that 7/7, like that is a win condition. Your hero power, it does damage to your opponent, and if you're in fatigue, it does extra damage to your opponent. So it's easier to kill your opponent with Tamsin by itself than it is to play Dawn Grasp and hope you also have enough burn.
True.
So in that regards, this is a better card. But yeah, like taking that damage, like I really have to look at how do you get there. Taking 6 damage on your turn, just like like regardless of the healing part, like it's nice that you heal back half the stuff you take, but 6 damage is like 3 life taps, which is not really ideal because that implies 3 turns. One backfire, one life tap, and like what? One more damage. I don't know how. It's just really hard to get, and that's just phase 1. Phase 2 is what?
7.
Phase 2 is 7 and then 8.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know how you can consistently like activate that. Maybe you play Stealer of Souls. Yeah, but then you're right. Once your Stealer of Souls dies, then isn't that your win condition post Tamsin? It's confusing to me how this
Yeah.
could work. I don't want to rule it out, but it doesn't seem ideal.
Stealer of Souls is the card that gets mentioned here the most. And it makes the most sense because you can start spending. I mean, you have infinite mana after you have infinite mana, and you're also OTKing your opponent after the quest is complete. But
But do you
I'm
steal her
not
souls
positive.
to complete the quest, or do you steal her souls after? Or is it just good in both situations?
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
if
the
it
other
is
thing.
good
Yeah.
pre-quest, it's also weird, right? Like, are you playing 8 mana cards for the Stealer of Souls to get the 8 damage quest line? Like, it's just really hard to see. It's really hard to rate this without seeing it. But from what I've seen right now, like, just if you just talk about it out loud, I have to take all this damage and pay 5 mana for the Tamsin. It's a lot of things to do, and you're doing a whole lot of nothing.
Hmm.
Or I wouldn't say nothing, but you're doing a lot of stuff that hurts you. Because 5 mana 7/7 on like what turn 10 when you
Yeah.
do complete the quest isn't really a good play.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
yeah,
You're doing a lot of
just you
you're trying to do this quest is trying to convince you to do a lot of things that are bad to yourself,
yeah.
and that's generally a red flag for the for you know for card reviews. Um, I'm excited to see what they've got for this. I don't know how they're gonna make this good, but we'll see. Okay,
Yeah.
now that we've gone through all the more complex cards, we can go back to something a little more tame. We can go back. We can go now to a card that. Wait, I forget if you. Oh well, I'm just gonna say it, and maybe it's not true, and you can correct me. But this is the card that Taco wants to review specifically. Go ahead.
Yeah, Pandarin Importer. It's a 2 mana 1/3 battle cry. Discover a spell that didn't start in your deck, and I think that's an interesting effect. First, when it doesn't start in your deck, you kind of know what the pull is, right? Because it's something you didn't put in your deck, which could be good or bad. It's probably bad because if it was good, you would want it in your deck. But it does open up situations where, let's think of like Rogue, right? You don't play all the burn spells. Sinister Strike kind of sucks to put in your deck, but if it's lethal, right? Sinister Strike is amazing. Same thing with Assassinate, Coerce, and single target removal. That's usually really bad. You don't want to put into your whatever Rogue deck, but if your opponent had a big minion and you have no way of killing it, if it involved like your alternative was trade off your board to kill it or ignore it and go face. You probably want hard removal in that situation. I can see this having some potential, especially with Shaman. Shaman has some crazy stuff that you can discover. The other thing about Shaman is that people play Primal, what is it, Primal
Dungeoneer.
Dungeoneer,
Yeah.
which means that you're limited to only nature spells. But there's some like non-nature spells in Shaman that are pretty good. Devolving Missiles. Maybe you're lucky enough to get that. Um, I think this has some potential in it. I just don't know if this card itself is worth the deck slot because you're essentially playing a 2 mana 1/3, which isn't great, and you're playing a card that didn't start in your deck in the first place for the hope that there's a situation that something comes up. And yeah, we're looking at Shaman right now. The reason it's good in Shaman is that Shaman has single target removal, has healing. Tidal Wave when randomly generated is stupid because like for no reason at all you're at full health. Um, Vivid Spores, there's board clears. Like Shaman cards do everything. But ultimately is it good enough? I don't know.
Yeah.
I can see this being okay, but I'm gonna rate it as bad.
Oh, you think it's bad?
I
Oh, I think it's good.
think it's bad.
I think it's just
Yeah.
good. I'm pretty ready to see this card. Originally, when you look at this card first, you start to draw comparisons instantly to Venomous Scorpid, and Venomous Scorpid for one more mana can discover cards that are in your deck, but also it has a poisonous tag, so it looks really weak relative to Venomous Scorpid. But this is still a generation card, and a generation card that really rewards classes which want to toolkit specifically from their card pool and not from cards in their deck, and that
Yep.
is an okay description of Priest. Priest would love to find soul mirrors. It would love to find other um, cards that they're running, but also the cards that they're not running that are just in their collection are still very very good cards. Like we're talking about Elic Mount. Like we were talking about Elic Mount a bit ago. This is like a really sweet card to discover. Oh yeah, this is a really sweet card to discover. So something like Pandaren Importer, being able to draw from the rest of the collection is actually very very valuable for something like Priest, especially since we're likely getting generation nerfs for Priest. Like the nerfs that are coming in a week will be targeting generation options in Priest, so we might see Pandaren Importer being a kind of replacement for whatever generation option they're going to nerf. Maybe. But even if it's not priest, your shaman example is a good example. Like shaman is looking. I mean, every class is looking for a minion that generates. And we can see that because, well, not every class, but like a lot of classes are looking for that, and we can see that because Wandmaker was so impactful, and it still is impactful. And Wandmaker does draw from a more specific pool of one cost spells, and there were studies, for
Yeah.
as a card that were printed to kind of push Wandmaker. But Pandaren and Porter is kind of similar. Like there's a specific pool of cards. Some of the cards are good, some of them are bad, but you get to choose this time instead of getting a random card from, like, for example, Wandmaker. So I think this card is actually very, very strong. Likely to see play.
Yep. I think let's go back to
Or value.
the venomous scorpid comparison. Like venomous scorpid, before venomous scorpid, there was Volpara's scoundrel. Right? I don't think Volpara's scoundrel ever saw play because Volpara's scoundrel and Raised Dead did exist at the same time, but I don't think priest did priest play Volpara's scoundrel.
It did. It actually did, because Highlander was a thing, so
Um,
that was actually a good card.
Okay,
But Highlander does increase this, like it does
right.
like give you more cards that are playable.
Yeah, but like what I'm getting at is that when you played venomous scorpid, because it had poison, you weren't off the board, right? Because your opponent, if they traded into it, they lost the minion as well as you, or if they went face, right, the next turn you have poisonous, it's essentially removal in one. Like this actually puts you behind on board. 2 mana 1/3 is not strong enough.
It is
So
understated.
and you're discovering something that usually is pretty weak. It's not really quite the same. I think Wandmaker, is that right? Yeah, Wandmaker's like a 2 mana 1/3 and a two mana 2/2 are probably about the same.
Hmm.
I guess 2 mana 1/3 is actually worse, right? Because it's one attack, or two
I
actually
mean,
two is
two
better.
twos. I mean, we're arguing stat lines now. Like 2/2's worse against a 2/3. A 1/3 is worse against a 3/2. Like that.
But like
That's what we're arguing now. I think it's tough to say as long
what,
as the
what I'm
stats are
getting at
referenced.
is like you're not strong on board, and then when you played a Wandmaker, you were okay on board. Like you weren't strong on board
I
either.
think they're
Like this
both the
is
same. I think the stat lines are the same. They're not really. I mean, Pandaren Explorer is better into other stat lines. If it's better into a bunch of 1/1s, for example, than Wandmaker is, because it clear an extra 1/1. Like, it's tough to say that one stat line is better than the other without knowing the meta.
okay, but both are understated.
They're both understated. I think that's all we gotta say. They're roughly the
So
same in
you
terms of
will
value.
you should expect to be behind, and you're playing a spell that didn't start in your deck, so you're even more. I just can't think of a deck right now that will want to play this.
Yeah, it's not like this is like the next. It's not like this is like super broken or anything, but it's a generation card, and I think that's what makes it solid
Okay,
enough.
I don't think that's good. Like maybe okay. I wouldn't say this is good.
I'm pretty convinced. We'll see.
All
We'll see.
right, we'll see.
The next card is. Oh wait, why am I scrolling? We're in neutrals right now. All right, the next card is Mailbox Dancer. This is a
Okay.
2 mana 3/2 battle cry. Add a coin to your hand. Death rattle. Give your opponent a coin. And I'm just gonna call it right here, and we're gonna. I hope we could keep this short. I think this is just pack filler. This is not a good
Yeah,
card. Bad.
yeah, it's not good.
Coins. Whenever people see coins, they think Rogue, and Rogue has Octobot, and that's much better than one coin because that's like a lot of coins.
Yeah, maybe there's a combo deck that probably doesn't exist where you need the coin,
All right.
but I don't see it.
Yeah. Next card. Uh. Oh, this is you. Go ahead. I don't know why I keep.
Spice Bread Baker, Battle Cry, restore health to your hero equal to your hand size, 4 mana, 3/2. This is probably bad. Neutral healing is always cool because there are classes that don't have access to healing. I'm just thinking about Rogue, for example. Oh, it costs 4. You can't play it in a Rogue because Kazakus is a
Kazakus.
thing.
Yeah.
But let's say that if you wanted to for whatever reason and you didn't care about Kazakus, I don't know why. You're a Rogue. Good job. You have healing, but you don't have a win condition. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Warlock plays it, but I'm hoping there's better healing cards in this. Let's just think like in Warlock, what's the best case scenario? It doesn't count itself, so it heals 9 for 4 mana. 3/2, your hand is full. That could be okay actually. When I talk it out, because I'm thinking about the quest line and how aggressively you're doing damage to yourself, and how some of those cards like backfire. You draw cards anyways.
It's
This could see
something.
play that, yeah. But when we're assuming that a quest in itself is good, which I don't know. It's I'm gonna say this is a bad card. It could move to okay, but yeah, I don't know what you would do with this.
I didn't actually think of the quest line for Warlock when I was reviewing this card, but now that you just mentioned it, it is. I mean, I think this card is bad too, but that is a cool interaction, or that's a cool like synergistic support card for the quest line. I
Well,
don't
it's
think this is
yeah.
strong enough of a card. Okay, just looking at it in a vacuum, it's not a really good card because we're talking about like healing 5, 6, 7-ish health, and so we're talking about radiance on a minion again, and radiance on a 3/2 minion should probably cost like 2 mana or 3 mana, and this is 4 mana. So this is in a vacuum, not a really good card. Um, it's you did mention that some class. This is neutral healing, of course, and all classes are. And there are certain classes that are very interested in neutral healing because they don't have good healing options of their own. I would be really. I would be real. I think as a class, I would be really sad if I'm playing this as a way to heal. Though it's not good. This is very desperate. Um, Control Warlock or Questline Warlock. How? Yeah. Whenever you see hand size, you think Warlock first, right? Because they can tap and increase their hand size. And I'm not sure that this is like this reminds me of Antique Healbot, which was a great card back in the day, 5 mana 3/3 heal 8. But now it's not like we've power crept to a point where that's not exactly the type of card you want to be playing. I'm gonna lean toward bad. I'd be very surprised if a class plays this seriously.
And even in the warlock quest line, this doesn't help you complete the quest. This just says that I don't die, so I can live one more turn to
Yeah.
try to complete the quest. You play it regardless, but it's not really helpful in that regards. That you still want to complete the quest as soon as possible. I just wanted to make that clear. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good in that deck, but not really good because it doesn't help you what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Next card and the last neutral is Peasant. So this is a 1 mana 2/1. At the start of your turn, draw a card. So this is actually straight up a caravan. And caravans we know are pretty bad. None of them saw play, and this is a 1 mana version of it with 1 health. That should make it a lot worse because it dies to hero powers now. Instead of being 3 health, it's now 1 dies to hero powers. And hero powers are something that a lot of classes have access to 1 damage hero powers. So that should automatically disqualify this card. But here's where I'm unsure. Because this is a very cheap way to draw cards. It does snowball. It's a must remove from your opponent by your opponent. So and also like if you find a way to buff this thing's health, by the way, we're in business. So like conditioning or like other hand buffs or like any way to increase this thing's health, and we're looking at a pretty decent card. If this draws you 1 card, you're pretty good. Then it's a Knight of Anointment, right?
Yeah, or sigil.
Or yeah, Crimson Sigil. I mean, yeah, it's
Premier
also start of your turn, so it's like
sigil.
later. It draws you a card later.
Yeah, that's true. That's fine.
Does that make
But
it
yeah,
bad?
it's essentially true.
That makes it a
Oh
lot
yeah, that
worse than
makes it
draw a
bad.
card.
Yeah, it makes it so much worse
Oh
because
man,
it's
it's
not
so.
guaranteed.
I think this card was really, really close to being like actually good. And by that I mean if it was printed 1 expansion earlier, it would actually be good because then it would have Beaming Sidekick
Mm.
to work with it. But I think right now it's just bad. I can't. I was gonna try and make a case for it to be maybe okay, but I think it's just bad. I'd be very, very surprised if this card saw play.
Yeah, I think this card is bad. And even drawing a card in modern Hearthstone, it's not that big of a deal.
Oh,
If you think about like almost every card draws a
that's a
card
hot take. That's a
or
hot
does
take.
something. No, it's not like every card generates every card that you put in your deck almost generates something, right? Anyways,
Yeah,
I
yo,
was thinking about Priest a lot, right? Like
you're thinking about
Priest,
Priest a
do
lot,
they
yeah.
really, let's say if you played this in Priest, I don't even think you care.
I mean, some
Your
classes
two
would.
mana 2/2 draws a card.
Yeah.
Your 3 mana 1/3 draws a card. Like
Yeah, I mean,
it's
this
not
is
that
not a
big of a
priest card
deal.
though. Like some classes would kill to draw a card. Like Shaman would kill to draw a card, and
Shaman
they
left
got
their
their
draw.
card
They have a
draw.
card. Their card draws 2 cards, and they
Yeah,
have a card that draws a weapon.
yeah, I know,
Like
I know.
they have cards that draw a card. Like I'm saying, it's not the most amazing thing in the world.
No, they were struggling before
Um,
they got that though. They were like completely
they were
struggling. Shamans.
they were struggling, but in the era that we have right now, it's not the most amazing
Oh,
thing in the
right
world.
now, yeah, yeah.
If it drew 1 card.
This is a
Yeah,
little
I'm
late,
just
and
gonna
I
put
mean
it across the
it's also
board.
straight up late. It draws a card next turn. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
So yeah, we don't need to spend too much time on a
yeah.
1 mana 2/1. Carnival Baker is a Baker
Carnival
is a
Barker.
pretty cool Barker. Yeah,
Oh, Carnival
is that the
Barker,
one
the
that gives
Paladin,
plus
the
one plus
Paladin
two?
card. You're
that
talking about this
was the
one?
only that was the only synergy I could think of.
Wait,
Yeah,
where is it
Carnival
even?
Baker.
Wait, what? Oh, because I'm on spell. You're talking about this guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
give it plus one plus two.
Oh God, we're talking
They
about an
I don't know.
aggro
This is
dude
the only
paladin.
thing I can think of that would make this like
Make it a
I don't know.
3/3.
You play a Carnival Barker deck with dudes and whatever. It's probably
Oh
bad,
God.
but hey, it's not a 2/1 anymore. It gets plus two extra
Yeah,
life.
like if we buff it, we're starting to be in business, but it's still like next turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
And I'm
think that
saying
kills
like
it.
even if it drew one card, it's fine. It's not even that amazing. It's
I, I,
just
yeah, I'm much more
it's just an
decisive
above
now.
average card if it drew one card. That's it.
After this like roughly 2 minute exchange with you, I'm pretty decisive. This is actually just bad. I don't
Yeah,
think
it's
this sees
bad.
play.
Yeah. Oh,
Um.
and if you see Demon Hunter, you can never play it
Oh
because
yeah,
they'll
yeah.
just hit it.
You can never. Yeah, you're not trying to get this traded off on one. All right, the
No,
last
it's
card is Dark Bishop Benedictus.
all right. This is mine. Dark Bishop Benedictus, 5 mana, 5/6. Start of game. If the spells in your deck are all shadow, enter shadow form, and shadow form is your hero power becomes 2 damage. It's kind of like the hunter hero power, except you can target minions with it. You can target your own face with it. You can target things with it. That's all it is. Um, yeah, this card is interesting. I think that this card is currently bad because I don't think we have enough support for it. But there are some interesting things that Blizzard could print out in the next. We saw 2 cards already in the next. What is it? 7 cards that they print out. They shelve out. They have talked that they want to support Shadow Form, for this type of priest, this type of
Shadow
aggressive,
Priest.
proactive priest.
Yeah.
So it could be good if Blizzard wants to push something. Maybe the mini set makes it good. I just don't think it's possible right now with the cards that we have. But it's a very powerful effect. Like this is a good card with no support as of right now.
Yeah.
And the support that they push, like they could do some crazy things because of shadow form. Like they could print out a card that says, if you are in shadow form, I don't know, summon King Crush, right? Like make
Oh
it I don't
God,
know,
no.
make it
Oh
like
no.
brand. I don't know. I'm just saying, like there's a lot of things they can do because
Yeah.
of the shadow form word that they put it on this card. So I can see them making very easy support for this. It doesn't necessarily have to be shadow spells.
Hmm.
It could be shadow form support.
Yeah.
And shadow form is a card in the core set, so we know that they're doing something there. It's probably not going to be Dino Tamer brand,
Yeah. It's
but
probably not gonna be Summon King Crush. Like, doesn't sound very priest-like.
I mean, it's
Yeah, I
something
know what
along
you mean.
those lines.
I know
Like
what you
if
mean.
you are in
Something
shadow form,
aggressive and something like that rewards you for being in shadow form. Yeah, I don't want anyone to get this wrong. This card is ridiculous. This strength is absurd. Start of game effects, especially ones which change your hero power, are just absurd. And yeah, people might look at Mind Spike and be like, "Oh, that's not that strong. It's 2 mana deal 2." But it's a hero power. That's the difference. And like Baku and Gen are some of the strongest cards of all time, and they change their hero power. Like this is an upgraded mage hero power like from Baku. Like,
this
and
is
this
yeah,
is
this is
not this condition to activate this shadow form. This condition on Benedictus to activate shadow form is so easy to complete. If all spells in your deck are shadow, like that's easy. We have some good shadow spells right now. Sure, yeah, most of the good priest like spells are holy, but like all of the holy spells are very defensive spells in nature. Like you're not really gonna want to look at holy spells and like use them as proactive, like aggressive cards. Like shadow spells are I can show you right now. We got Raise Dead, we've got Shadow Word Death, we've got Devouring Plague is actually decent because you could put this with Flesh Giant together. Palm Breeding's a shadow card. Like these are really, really good cards. And we've got like I actually think this card was very strong too. This is like a Mega Leper Gnome, which makes it sound a lot worse, but it is a Mega Leper Gnome. It is really good. It's just not doesn't have the support. And Archbishop Dark Bishop Benedictus is the support that Shadowed Spirit might be looking for. Um,
yeah.
yeah, other good shadow card. I mean, Soul Mirror Shadow. Look at this. Like, you know, Hysteria
I don't
Shadow.
know if you want to play Soul Mirror and Hysteria
Hmm.
if you're a proactive deck.
Yeah,
It's hard to judge
yeah. I'm pretty
because you
sure
want to
this is
kill your.
not a control deck type of card. I'm not
It
100%
doesn't
sure.
feel like it. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it based off of what they're trying to push.
Yeah,
Um, it seems like they want you to use this hero power to end games or to take control of the board.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'd be
but
very
yeah,
terrified.
we'll have to see. I tried making a deck, just theory crafting, putting all the shadow
Yeah.
spells. It didn't feel like a deck.
It's bad. Yeah, this card is
You,
bad currently, but like maybe like 3 card reveals down, this card is actually going to rule the meta. Like this card is what you want to see as a priest. Like if you're a priest main, you should be excited about this card. Is what I think.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and also like 5 mana 5/6 compared to things we had in the past, like it's actually good.
Yeah.
Not that a 5 mana 5/6 vanilla card is good, but Baku was a 9 mana 7/8, I think.
Yeah. It's a 9 mana 7/8. Gen was a 6 mana
So when you
5
drew
or
it, like you
6/5.
were, yeah, it was 6 mana 6/5. Like Gen was like when you drew it, you were sad
Yeah.
because it was like it was over understand. Like this compared to what we had in the past. Like this is fine.
you're still
This
gonna
is
be
a
sad.
significant improvement.
You're,
You're still gonna be sad, but it's not a 9 mana 7/8. Like
yeah.
it's an improvement.
You're definitely gonna still be sad. Yeah, because it's a vanilla card, but it is not as bad, and it does come out quicker than the others
It's
too.
way better. It's way better than like I don't want this to be taken out of context, but it's way better than Baku and Gen.
I actually think it
As a
is
vanilla
straight up.
card.
I think it probably is better than Baku.
Yeah, it's way
Okay,
better than
maybe a
Baku.
little. Okay, I don't want to be taken out of context either. Yeah, because yeah, it's neutral,
That's
right?
the
It's
title
neutral
of
versus
that's the title
priest.
of this episode.
Yeah, but I love this card. I think this is great. Everyone's been complaining about priest for so long and how it's a control deck that relies on RNG. Yeah, now it's going to be a aggressive deck or maybe a mid range deck that relies on beating you down in the face. So I'm excited to see what Blizzard's got for us. I'm sure that I have full trust that they'll handle the Shadow Priest archetype properly, and I'm waiting to see.
Mhm.
All right,
All right.
that's about it. Any closing remarks?
Uh, nope, not really.
All right, Tradeable sucks. No,
Yeah,
it
okay.
does generally suck. Tradable cards so far have looked like they sucked.
We'll see.
We'll see. The quest looks like they suck right now. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
most of these
and
cards, honestly, I think. Did you even give any cards a good rating? I don't even think so.
no.
I gave one card a good
I
rating,
don't
and
think any
that's
part
this
was good.
Pandaren and Porter.
You gave that a good. Yeah, I don't think I gave anything
Most
a
of these
good.
are
Everything was
okay.
bad. No, I did give one good. I gave Fire Sale good.
Oh, you gave. Oh, come on, Fire Sale.
I gave it good if Mage is good. I think it was okay. I don't know. You can listen to it. I don't remember what I said.
I'll edit it. Yeah. So
If Mage is good, then Fire Sale is probably good.
yeah. So I'm gonna stop the recording right now and get to editing, and hopefully I'll get this out to you by tomorrow.